Hey guys, what's going on? So, Coach Chop. Sorry, my voice is kind of raspy from yesterday, from boot camp. So, I want to talk to you guys today about fitness measurements, right? How do you measure your success? Like a lot of people are kind of confused. Coach, I don't know where I'm going wrong. I don't know, what I'm doing. I'm not sure why I'm not seeing the results I want to see. Most of the time, if you're struggling with seeing results, is because you're not measuring yourself properly. You're not taking the right precautious measurements to see where you're succeeding, where you're lacking, and actually where you're thriving. And so it's very important to see where you're thriving, where you're lacking, because these are the kind of measurements that will determine your true success. For instance, if you're not measuring every single week how much weight you've lost, if you're not measuring every single week how much you've increased in your bench press, if you're not measuring every single week where your caloric intake or your caloric deficit is, how much protein you've intaked or increased in, how many carbohydrates you're going to increase in or decrease. These things are going to determine whether you're going to reach your health and fitness goals in a timely manner. And so how do we start to measure our level of success through our health and fitness? Some of the areas that we need to measure ourselves in, that you need to measure yourself in, is your morning routine, right? How do you measure yourself specifically in your morning routine? Okay, did I do this morning? Did I take my shake this morning? Did I do my personal development this morning, right? You want to measure these things, right? Another area you want to measure yourself in to become successful is your weight. Every single week on a Friday, you should be able to do a weekly assessment. A weekly assessment is a huge driving factor to determine where you're at in the scoreboard. And it's so important because if you don't know where you're lagging or where you're missing out at, it's kind of hard to determine. You can't just, eyeball, lowball to see exactly where you're at. Veronica, what's going on? So it's very important to have a measuring tool to see exactly where you're at. And this is where we start to come in and start helping people get results, is through that measuring tool, through the weekly assessments. Some other areas, let me ask you this. How often do you measure your level of success? Do you even measure that yourself? Is it something you do consistently, or is it something you do maybe once a week, once a month? Because in all reality, measuring your level of success, measuring where you're at is gonna make you actually have to become honest with yourself. You have to completely be honest with yourself, right? And I know that sucks, I know it hurts, but at the end of the day, the quicker you start to measure your level of success and where you're at, the quicker you start to see change, the quicker you start to see growth. If you evade the truth, right? If you evade these concepts, it's going to take you a lot longer to make progress, because you have to be honest with yourself. Look, I know I'm not eating the way I'm supposed to be eating. Look, I know I'm not supposed to be lifting this way. I know I'm supposed to be showing up in the groups. I know I'm supposed to have to be held accountable, right? How often are you being held accountable? That is also a measuring system, right? And so being honest with yourself, it does hurt. It sucks. But it'll get you there faster. So instead of taking you 12 months to reach your goal, it takes you a lot faster. It may take you 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, because you get to see where you're at. And this is where you get to find, achievements. This is where you get to find recognition. This is where motivation really starts to pick up. Motivation starts to pick up, and you start to build a momentum when you start to see progress, because you can't see progress unless you're honest with where you're tracking yourself. You see what I'm saying? So, one of the biggest driving factors for me is that I'm not one of those guys that checks the scale every single day, right? Because it throws a lot of people off. But what I do check in the check boxes is, am I making sure that I'm taking my products every single day? Am I making sure that I'm getting my workouts every single day, right? I have daily measurements that I check off the box, because these daily measurements that I get to track allow me to reach my weekly goals, which allows me to reach my monthly goals, which allows me to reach my yearly goals. You see what I'm saying? And that's so important, because who am I if I'm going to reach my goals? How am I able to reach my goals if I don't even track where I'm at? Like, if I don't track my bench press every single week, how am I supposed to know if I'm increasing my bench press? If I'm not tracking my meal preps, how am I supposed to know if I'm eating healthy, if I'm eating right? How am I supposed to know it? You see what I'm saying? And so one thing that I always do is I always write down my goals, my daily goals, a daily checklist of what I'm supposed to do. Okay, I make sure I drink my water. Did you drink your water today? Right? Did you have breakfast this morning? When did you have breakfast this morning? I had breakfast an hour later than I was supposed to. Okay, we got to measure that. Why? Because that's probably the determining factor as to whether you're going to lose weight or not, or as to whether you're getting stronger or not, or as whether you're improving in specific fitness areas or not. Stefan, what's going on? So another thing that I actually do that I love to do is I have reminders on my phone, right? These reminders help me to stay focused with what I'm supposed to be doing. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that you got to stay focused on what matters the most. When you lose focus on what matters most, what happens? You lose track. You lose track of keeping score on the scoreboard. See what I'm saying? When I play football, we know we're winning by what? The scoreboard. Right? In basketball, you watch the basketball game, right? How do you know? How can you determine if a team's going to win? The scoreboard. Right? Can you imagine if you played a sport and you didn't have a scoreboard? How did you know you're going to win? How do you even know if you're going to win? How do you even know if you're even improving or not? How do you even know, like without stats, how would you even know if the basketball team is improving throughout the season? How do you even know if how do you know the players are becoming better? How do you know if players need improvement? This is exactly the same thing with your health and fitness goals. What's the scoreboard look like? How do you know you're improving? How do you know you're making the bucket? How can you determine where you need improvements? And this is where the measurements come in, guys. So, if you're having, Nikki, what's going on? Zoe, what's going on? If you're confused about where you need to be, if you're confused about, Coach, I just don't understand why I'm not seeing results, it's probably because you're not measuring yourself. Because once you're honest with yourself and you measure yourself, guess what? You start seeing results instantly. It's almost instant that you start seeing results. And if you're having a hard time measuring the right areas and tracking the right areas for specific progress, that's where we come in. Let's have a talk. Let's message each other, see what we got going on. Set up a game plan to get you on the right track so you can see not only weekly goals, but weekly results, but daily results. How many of you guys would like to see daily results? Raise your hand. By a show of hands, how many of you guys would really like to see daily results? I do. I love to see that. There's nothing wrong with seeing daily results. Yes, you can see results every single day. It's very possible if you have the right sequencing game plan, if you know how to measure properly. So, love you guys so much. Hopefully this motivates you guys to get on the right track. I'm going to keep doing these live videos to help you guys out because there's value in, Jerry, what's going on? I believe there's value in giving. I share my fitness journey because it's my lifestyle. It's not a routine that I'm sharing with you guys. These are real experiences that I've experienced. These are real things that I've experienced that I want to share with you guys so that you guys will know what to expect in your journey as well. Because let's be honest, if you don't have somebody that's able to relate with you, if you don't have somebody who's able to understand what you're going through, it's kind of hard to be able to comprehend what the next person is talking about, right? But if you're able, can you imagine being around people? Can you imagine being in a group? Can you imagine being in an environment where there's people just like you who are going through the same thing, who have experienced the exact same thing with their health and fitness journey and have been able to get out of it? And that's exactly what we do. So love you guys so much. Hopefully everything goes well with you guys today. Be blessed and let's get it.